This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. The U.S. government is taking no chances that Chinese connected or autonomous cars get sold in the American market. It's proposing rules that would prohibit the import of hardware or software for connectivity or autonomy from China and even Russia. That includes any components that are sold separately or are integrated into vehicles, even if those vehicles are made in the U.S. The action is being taken by the U.S. Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security. It says that, quote, malicious access to these systems could allow adversaries to access and collect our most sensitive data and remotely manipulate cars on American roads. The software rule would go into effect in 2027, while the hardware would be banned by 2030 to give automakers time to find other suppliers. These rules would apply to any vehicle used on public roads, but would exclude farming or mining vehicles. And here's our Autoline insight. The Biden administration is initiating these rules to prevent Chinese automakers from selling cars in the U.S. market under any circumstances. Despite adding 100% tariffs on imported Chinese EVs, many worried that China could use Mexico as an assembly point and ship cars north without any tariffs under the USMCA trade agreement. So, by banning Chinese hardware and software related to connected or autonomous cars, the administration is effectively closing the doors on all Chinese automakers. And it's all being done under the banner of national security. The White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says, the U.S. has plenty of evidence of China pre-positioning malware in critical American infrastructure, and that's why it's taking action on Chinese connected and autonomous cars. And there's no question that Chinese suppliers are making significant investments in Mexico. We talked with Nick Icavella, the Senior Vice President of Public Affairs and Communications, from a group called Coalition for a Prosperous America, and here's what they found.
Since June 2022, we've seen nearly 30 Chinese auto part manufacturers and car makers actually move into Mexico with over $7 billion of investment into added capacity.
If this is a topic that interests you, you can check out that entire interview. We'll post a link for our website or our YouTube channel. The price war in China isn't just hurting automakers' bottom lines, it's also having a big impact on car dealers. According to the China Automobile Dealers Association, dealers have lost nearly $20 billion in the first 8 months of the year. While sales of new energy vehicles are going strong, the overall passenger car market is only expected to grow about 4% this year. And with that slower rate of growth, inventory levels are increasing, forcing dealers to sell vehicles at a discount. And coupled with the price war, that's what's driving dealer losses.
Developing today's vehicles, issues can happen in an instant. What good is knowing your problems without the data to solve them? Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure off-the-shelf solution, empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless Neovi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Neovi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Legacy automakers want to be seen as tech companies and generate billions of dollars of revenue from their software. But they're still playing catch-up. According to the Gartner Digital Automaker Index, which looks at 22 global automakers evaluating things like talent, electrical/electronic architecture, and autonomy, Tesla, Chinese automakers, and EV startups are at the top of those categories. Specifically, it's Tesla at number 1, then NIO, Xpeng, Rivian, and Lucid. GM, VW, and Toyota saw notable drops from last year's index, and Toyota was third from the bottom overall. But it wasn't all bad news for legacy automakers. Hyundai, Kia, Honda, and Stellantis were able to make significant gains. However, I think this helps show why some legacy automakers have struggled with software and technology, why they're investing so much money in it, and why they're partnering up with Chinese automakers and EV startups to get it, because they need to catch up. Remember when all the advertising for cigarettes was banned? It started out slow at first, then got banned all over the world. Well, advertising for cars with internal combustion engines could be next. Starting next year, the city of The Hague in the Netherlands is banning advertisements for fossil fuel-powered vehicles in public spaces like bus stops, billboards, and transport hubs. The ban also includes air and cruise travel ads, but natural gas products are exempt. Amsterdam and Edinburgh, Scotland also have similar measures, but they aren't as strict as The Hague. And 2 years ago, France passed a law requiring ads for vehicles that emit higher amounts of CO2 must promote greener transport alternatives, and all vehicle ads have to include their environmental impact. The goal of the bans is to help improve air quality. So what do you think? Will ICE advertising go the way of cigarette ads? Volkswagen might pull out of a plan it owns with SAIC in China, but this has nothing to do with declining sales and profits. It's in regards to allegations of forced labor and other violations by a local minority group called the Uyghurs. At first, VW hired an audit firm that said it found no violations, but soon after, 6 execs from the firm quit, saying they had nothing to do with the audit. But now another VW-hired auditor is saying the plant doesn't comply with international standards for human rights, and also added initial interviews that should have been confidential were live streamed, and only managers, not shop floor workers, were asked questions about working conditions. This has led to 50 lawmakers to sign a letter calling for Volkswagen to completely withdraw from the plant. Over the last several months, most major automakers have scaled back their EV sales goals due to the slowdown in demand. And altogether, there will be significantly fewer EVs than they were planning for. According to a study from Bloomberg NEF, which looked at 14 automakers that set 2030 EV sales goals, they'll now produce 23.7 million EVs in 2030, down from the 27 million they planned, or more than 3 million fewer than before. Even though EV sales have cooled, the researchers say cutting these targets carries a risk of falling further behind automakers like Tesla and BYD. Mercedes is increasing the speed at which its Level 3 hands-free driving system will work up to. It was 65 kilometers an hour, or 40 miles an hour, but now it's going to 95 kilometers an hour, or nearly 60 miles an hour. The increase is first approved for Germany and should be ready by the start of next year. Current customers will get it via an OTA update or through a trip to the dealer, and we suspect the same increase will be made in the US as well. But remember, the Level 3 system is only approved for California and Arizona right now. In Germany, the system costs just under 6,000 euros, but in the US, it's a $2,500 yearly subscription. We had Bob Lutz on Autoline After Hours last week, and even at 92 years of age, I was amazed at how polarizing of a figure he still is. But Lutz still seems up to speed with what's happening in the auto industry right now. He talked about the need for better leadership at the car companies, as well as the problems with bureaucratic management and boards of directors who really don't know much about the auto industry. Here's one quick bit of advice he shared.
If I were running one of the major automobile companies today, the first thing I'd do is do the 80-20 rule, find out who are the 20% of the people that are doing all the work, and then focus a lot of my energy on getting rid of the other 80%. And I will bet you money that almost any company, Chrysler was the perfect example. We did our best work when we had almost no people.
If you work in the auto industry, and especially if you're in management, This show is full of advice. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. MEDC, where Michigan businesses are powering the future of mobility. And by Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
Performance that shines, even in the rain. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Potenza tires, improved grip in wet conditions.
When we did our research for the talent that we need for this program, Michigan was really the top of the list. In order to be successful in this space, you really have to have the right people, the right mindset, the right environment.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.